Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We are holding Daf Kuf Tes Vav Omid Aleph. You have a Mitzorah, and one of the korbanos a Mitzorah brings is an Asham. So here goes. It's Saras. It's an Asham. It's like a Chatos. So they're taking it from the Beis Hamikdash. It's supposed to go in the Beis Hamikdash, and they're going to a bama outside. Now, there's one thing if he burnt it as an asham. It's another thing if he thought in his mind that it's an oila. What is it called when he thinks in his mind that it's an oila, not an asham? Even though it has a necklace that says asham, that's called shaloi lishma. Shaloi lishma. So again, there's two things going on here. First of all, he took it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. And also, he was markev it shaloi lishma. So now we saw we have a machlokes. Yesterday we learned, we'll just read the two lines here on the bottom of Kuf Yudalim and Beis, Omer Rav Chilkiah the Bei Rav Toivi, because that's basically who we're discussing today. So it says the Gemara like this, Leishanu elash lishmai. Had the Kohen been markev this asham for an asham outside, that's the Mishnah, that he's potter. Why is he potter? Because the Mitzorah jumped the gun. The Mitzorah came early. Again, it's Mechusar Zman. Mechusar Zman means it's not the right time for him to come. He still has the tzaras in his hand. You saw? Maybe that's the giveaway. He went to the Kohen. The Kohen says, no, you're still a Mitzorah. So he goes and he brings a carbon. That's Mechusar Zman. That's before the time. Before the time, had he brought this carbon inside the Beis HaMikdash, what would happen? Nothing. He's not yoytze, nothing. So therefore, if you bring it outside, on top of a bama, he's not chayiv for shchuti chutz. But what happens if he changes his mind? The kohen changes his mind, says, this is not asham. This is oila. So now he changed, it's a shaloi l'shma. And now you continue bringing it inside the Beis HaMikdash. If it was inside the Beis HaMikdash, you continue bringing it. Oh, so if you do that same thing outside of the Beis HaMikdash, now you'd be chayiv. Just everything in Yiddishkeit is in the head. It all has to do with what's in your mind. So if the Kohen had thought in his brain that it's not Asham, it's Ariel, now he made it himself Chayev, not Potter. Okay. So the Gemara says, Leiba Misayele. Perhaps I have a raya to this idea that if Shaloi Lishma, if you switch, like this Kohen right here, switching in his brain from a Asham. Look, it says on the sign, if you look closely, it says Asham right over here. It's an asham. It was a necklace that went around his thing. He even had a cigar. He was smoking. Says the Gemara, Leim Se'ele. That what? If somebody shechted this asham outside of the Beis Hamikdash, it was Mechusar Zman. A couple of things going on there. This is Mechusar Zman. It's too early. And it's Shaloi L'Shema. He switched it to Ayla. Machlokes. So one sheet. Machlokes whether it gets an lois aseh or not. Leim Se'ele. We learned this pasuk, the famous pasuk that we discussed a lot. Do I have it? I don't even know if I put it in here. Yeah, here. Vel Pesach Hayel Moed Lo Yiviyoi. That the Mishnah brings, that this is the source, that it has to be something, Shalom Aleichem. Has to be a source, it has to be something that you could bring into the Oyel Moed. Yachol Shani Moitzi Af Oylas Mechusar Zman Bebailam. Maybe an Oyla. This Pesach Hayel Moed should come to exclude an oila that the owner didn't have, like we're talking now, this Mitzorah. It's not time for him. Let's talk about a Yoledis. Simpler. A woman gives birth, right? When could you bring a carbon? Depends. If she gave birth to a male, a boy, then she brings the carbonis on the 40th day. If not, she brings it on the 80th day. So on day 20, she decided to jump the gun and bring a carbon. What is that called? With the oila. She brought an oil on day 20. That's mechusar zman. It's early. Babailim. That the owner, the woman, is bringing it early. Not that the carbon is early. Sometimes the carbon is early. How's that? It's too young. The bird is too young. The whatever it is. They shechted the mother that day, so you can't shech the offspring. So that's mechusar in the behema. No. The chesaron over here is in the owner. V'asham nazir. V'asham etzayra. Tamad loymar shor mikol mokoim, kesev mikol mokoim, eiz mikol mokoim. It says all these extra words in the pasuk here. Ish mi beis Yisrael sheyishchat shor, kesev, eiz, v'machna. Why do you need all these words? You shechted a carbon. What difference? Shor, kesef. So it comes to include all these things. Biluchata shaira. But it doesn't mention anything about a chatos. If you brought a chatos that's mechusar zman, it says an oila that's mechusar zman, and an asham that's mechusar zman. What's missing is a chatos. Says Gemara b'maya skina. What are we talking? Tell me the exact case. Ileima bizmanoi. If it's talking about, that's one of we're like talking about three different components here. One of them is at the right time and not the right time. So let's line it up. If it's the right time, it's good. Ma'ir yasham afilu chatas nami. Then what's the difference between an asham and a chatas? There shouldn't be any difference. Why does the Brisa talk about an asham? Chatas also is okay. Ela shaloy luzman. We're talking about it's early. Ubemai. Now, if it's early, there's another thing going on. Was it lishma or not lishma? Did whoever shechted it, did he think that it's a chatos or do you think it's something else? Ilim lishma asham amaychayev. If you think that this asham, which is early, and you think that it's an asham, so it's garbage, it's nothing. So why should you be chayev for shechting it outside? It's early, and then you thought the right thing. Elalav shelo lishma. Oh, so l'chayra have mefurish raya that what? That when it's early and it's shaloi l'shma, you think that it's not a asham, it's an oila, is a raya that you're not chayiv. I'm sorry, that you are chayiv. It says that you are chayiv. So Gemara says, no, lo'ilam is mano even shaloi l'shma. We're going to go back. The what? It's the right time to bring it. So what did you ask me? It's the right time, so what's the difference between an asham and a chatos? Talk about a chatos also. Why do you mention an asham? Rabbi Eliezer, no, because it goes according to Rabbi Eliezer. The Omer Makshin and Asham Lechatos. That there's a hekesh between Asham and Lechatos. That what? That if you do Shaloi Lishma na Asham, I think we learned it in the first Mishnah. Let's look it out. I don't remember it. It's in Daf Yud. It's not in the actual Mishnah. We learned it in those sugyas. Let's see the first Mishnah. Omer Rabbi Eliezer. First Mishnah. So Rabbi Eliezer, I should know this better. Daf Beis Amud Aleph. Says Rabbi Eliezer, there's no difference between an asham and a chatos. They both smoke. Yeah, they both come for averis. Yeah, but you can't just say they both this. He has a limud. It's a hekesh. Just like a chatos, if you do shaloi l'shma. What's the first Mishnah in Zevachim Rabbi side? If you take a chatos or a carbon pesach and you flip the designation on them, you can take them and throw them into the garbage. Says Rabbi Eliezer, I have a third one. The name is Asham. Oh, so Memela, there's no question over here. What was your question? How come it doesn't talk about a chatos? You mentioned Asham. They're the same. By mentioning one, you mentioned the other. So let me ask you a question. Then why do you mention Asham? Mention chatos, and you'll know Asham from it. The answer is very simple. V'tana tofel v'uadinikr. I want to tell you the bigger chiddush. I'm telling you the one that's not so known. Only Rabbi Eliezer, only from a limud, from a hekesh, I know Asham. Chatos, if I tell you a chatos shaloi l'shma is no good, is garbage, it's pashas. Everybody knows the first Mishnah of Zevachim, by the way, it's the first Mishnah of Menachos. When it talks about a mincha, the Masechta starts the same way. Shaloi l'shma and l'shma. So, I'm telling you the chiddush, the limud. I'm telling you the thing that I learned out from a chatos, which is the asham. Yeah, einachanami. So, Nachal, what was your question? How come it mentions asham and a oila and it doesn't mention chatos? It's the same thing. It mentions a chatos because it's hainu hach. It mentions asham means oila. Means chatos. Great. Tashma. Again, I'm trying to bring a raya. If you shecht an asham outside of the Beis Hamikdash, shaloi l'shma, and it's also mechusar zman. It's early and it's shaloi l'shma. Yichayev, according to at least Rav Chilkiah bar Tuvi, Bar Rav Toivi. Those who argue. Tashma. What's begufa? I don't think we had this, unless I know that Yoshi threw this in. I didn't show it b'daf because I don't remember reading it. Maybe he read it and I missed it. Begufa means we did have it, so he's right. I don't remember. I didn't. What's the halacha here? That if an animal is less than a week old, you can't bring it as a carbon. We're making a birthday party because now it's ready to go on the Mizbeach. Doesn't even have hair. It's like bald. And then Shmini B'Hala, Yerotze. Yeah, that's the pasuk. I don't know. Maybe. Whoa, here it goes. I would think that if somebody brings an oila early, what's early? He brought it was this animal 6 days old, didn't wait until late. The chatos, bein begufa, bein bebailim, whether the chatos was 6 days old, or maybe the owner. Again, something's it's too early for the nazir, for the mitzvah, whatever. Tamad loymar. If you cannot bring this animal today, why? Because it's 6 days old, or because you're still a nazir. And if you shech this outside of the Beis Hamikdash, you're not chayav. How come it doesn't mention anything about asham over here? It only mentions the chatas. But Maya Skina, what are we talking about? We're talking about he did the right thing. He thought that it's a asham. Asham nami lifterei. Then you're not chayav on asham because he messed it up. He did it too early. That what? He thought that this asham is a ayla and you continue bringing it. No, we're talking about he didn't have the right intent. He thought that the asham was something else. It was a shlamit. You're asking why it doesn't mention asham? Because it already mentions chatas. Why did I mention chatas and not asham? It's the same thing, but in the backwards. I'd rather say the source, the chatas, and then you'll figure out on your own. Because if you know what Rabbi Eliezer holds, he holds that the chatas and asham are the same. So I mention one chatas, and then from there you know it's asham. Tashma. So basically it's the same exact brayso that we just read. Just the Gemara says he doesn't know the limun. Before we said 5 lines from the top. We said right, 4 lines from the top. I showed you the pasuk then. So now we're repeating the same thing. Chazarah. I would think to exclude a oila that the owner is not ready to bring it yet. Asham nazir, v'asham etzoyra. So over here it says mefurish what? Asham. Asham. Mamish like Reb Chilki Bar Tuvi, that what? You would think to exclude. No, he's chayav. If he brings in asham, he's chayav. Why is he chayav? And I remember he brought a raya. I don't remember what the raya was. Amar Ravina, I'll tell you what the raya is. I'll remind you. Upon him, what do you see? It must be the Gemara does this whole cheshbon. It must be that we're talking about what case? Our case. That what? It's mechus zman and shalei l'shma. Because if it's not mechus zman and shalei l'shma, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. If it was Bizman and Lishma, it would be Chayev, Bekitzer, and it must be that we're talking about our case, that it's too early and Shaloi Lishma. And that's exactly the Raya that you're Chayev. You're Chayev that what? This is what the Gemara started off, the whole Sugi, you're Chayev when it's too early and Shaloi Lishma. As the Gemara, on my room, what's the question? The cameras, you already answered. It goes like Rabbi Eliezer. That's the same thing. That that whole Torah, we already spoke about it. We already answered your question. Over Nachman, we have another contradiction. It says if you shecht an asham, thinking that it's not an asham, it's a oila, like we saw. We started off the shir. You have a guy that's supposed to bring an asham, but it's too early for him, and he's outside of the Beis Hamikdash. And he thought about it's 3 things. You really have to keep track over here on 3 different things. It's outside of the Beis Hamikdash. That's a given, because that's the whole sugya for the last few dafim, the whole parak. We're talking about a guy shechting outside of the Beis Hamikdash. It happens to be too early because he has tzaras on his hand and it's still on his hand, so it's too early for him to bring his car. And he made a flip. Instead of thinking that it's an asham with a green hat, he thought it's an oila. Asham knows if Sham Tzor Shachlon Shalei Shmon Ksherim. It's kosher. Of course, it's not a good asham, so you have to redo. You have to rebring your carbon. You have to pay another $500 and get another carbon. What if the guy is a mitzayra? He's he's still in Mitzayra. He's not. It's not time for him to bring the carbon. There's a problem with the animal itself. Why? Because the asham could only be in the first year. The Gemara language, shtei shanim, is not like us. We say he's 2 years old. 2 years old by us means he finished the second year. 2 years old in the Gemara language means he started his second year. It's day 367, 366 on his. It's into the second year. No good for an asham. Psulim. Says the Gemara. So we have a contradiction here. What do we do? Says l'shmoi. When is it possible? On the one hand, it's possible. On the kosher. So which one is it? L'shmoi. If you do it with the thought, the machshav, it's going to be an asham, possible, because it's not the time. Shaloi l'shmoi. This is no chidushim here. You take a asham. You think to yourself, it's an ayla. It's shaloi l'shma. Now you made it kosher. The last line we had on the bottom. How's it possible? You do the wrong thing and it's good. You do the right thing, it's bad. Yeah, we find that by a korban pesach. Rav Ashi Romi Masnisin Abraisa. And Rav Ashi says there's a contradiction between the Mishnah and the Braisa. What? It says that Chutz's man outside in our Mishnah is potter, and the Braisa says it's chayiv. So again, we have a contradiction. Is it potter or chayiv? Umeshani, the same idea. Kan l'shmoi, kan l'shaloi l'shmoi. When it's l'shmoi, you do the right thing, it becomes possible. If you don't do the right thing, the kohen, the Yisrael, whoever it is outside, is thinking that it's an oila, then it becomes kosher. As the Gemara, Leiba to the Ravuna. At the end of the day, Ravuna is the one that said the Braisa says, or is talking about at least, that when you shecht it in the right time, yeah, the whole Braisa is talking about you shecht it bismanoi. And now over here we're saying that we're talking about mechusar's man. Not that he shechted in the time. What happened was he had two ashams for achrayis. Yeah, we spoke about Ralph Hertzka that you take to lechatchila. He brought two ashams. We had the sugi also, mamish a few days ago. He put a backup. Let's call it a backup, just in case one goes pfeifen. He has another one. And what did he do? He jumps the gun and shechs one guy outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Now, since that guy is available to be an oila right now, the chad minayu mikara oilahi memeli is chayev. That's why he's chayev, says the Gemara, because he's an oila. What did he gain? What we gained is, since there's two of them, if there's one, you know why you're chayev over here? Because one of them is an oila. It's not the pshat. It's the asham that you turn. One of these ashams is like an oila. Why? Because it's the extra. It's a backup. Meila oili kidaravuna marav daf kuf tasvavam the beis dama ravuna marav asham shenitik l'riya. If you have an asham that have one of the issues that a chatas has, meisu ba'alel and a scapper ba'alel vlad asham, the 5 chatas shemeisu, so you send it off to Kevis land. Ushchot istam. Now you just shechted it without any kavanah. Kosher loila. Automatically it flips to oila. Remember the Gemara said, oh, you should do the same thing over there. The Gemara says, what are you talking about? One is in a keva, one is a zachar. But over here it works perfectly. A nashim is a zachar, an oila is a zachar. Great. Hamalim sarchatos. So nachamo, we're talking. It says in the Mishnah, if somebody takes meat that's edible for human consumption, it's steaks that come off the chatos, it's steaks that come off the shlamim, and you bring it outside of the Beis Hamikdash and you put it on the mizbeach, nothing happened. You're not over. You don't get karas for that. This is not a carbon. This is meat that's edible to humans. Yeah, just going through the list. All these meats from kachim kalim, the leftover of the carbon oimer, which is basically barley, and the two breads, the 2 loaves of bread that you bring on Shavuos. V'lechem upon him, the 12 breads that we bring every Shabbos on the shulchan. V'shiyar minachas, and the leftover of a mincha. We're almost there. Mamish, Rabboisai, almost starting a new Masechta. For all those that are looking for excuses not to start today, because it's a new Masechta, they only need a new Masechta. Somebody asked me today, when's the new Masechta? I said, this coming week. You ready? Yeah, I'll be there. Shepatur, how do you know that if you do all this outside of the Beis Hamikdash, Shepatur, Talmud Loimar, Oila. It's similar to Oila. Ma'oila shiru'uya lahallah. Oila goes up on top of the Mizbeach. Of course, shiru'uya lahallah. Something that goes onto the Mizbeach. But leftover mincha doesn't go on the Mizbeach. Lechem upon him doesn't go on the Mizbeach. All these things do not go on the Mizbeach. What about if you pour the oil on top of, I really should show you this. This is Agdama. It's good to know this. How many times do you pour oil on a mincha? We didn't get into it at all. 3 times. 3 times in a regular mincha. Now if it's a mincha schaite, by the way, confusing. We'll preface it over here. You know Yoshi's thing that he goes like this, and then a bunch of flour comes pouring out for 5 minutes, and everybody says, it's that fake thumb thing. That's in a mincha schaite. But in a normal mincha, he's going into very tough stuff. He's doing this into flour that has oil. Not stam oil. Oil on the bottom of the kli. Flour on top of that. Another time oil. Mix it up. Then another time oil. Kitzer. It's mamish dough. So you're going into dough. So how do you know that if you do yitzika, you pour oil? V'haboilo. Here, you see boilo. Let's see, we have boilo over here. Yeah, here we go, boilo. Basically mixing it up. Bezer Hashem, we're going to have it in shear. Shafa yoitzik. V'haboilo. Haboilo I showed you is the mixing it up. V'hapoisis. So let's see if we have poisis. I don't remember. I think we do. Poisis is breaking it up into 4. I don't see it here. Here, this is nice to show. Why not? This is a minchas nedava. You have to bring flour, oil. Now the thing on the left is a little exaggerated. We know levine is not that large, smaller pieces, but okay, it doesn't matter. You get the idea. There's 3 components, 3 ingredients. And salting the carbon. You take the meat of a carbon and you go like this, back, forth, like a lulav, hamagish. We saw you do it in the southwest corner. Setting up the shulchan. You have to say that's talking about outside, right? We're talking about everything chutz outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So I guess he grabbed the whole shulchan outside of they took it from the heichal, put it outside, and started putting everything on the shelves. Is putting the wicks together. And doing kmitza. And receiving the blood outside of the Beis Hamikdash. How do you know? Just like the carbon, the oila, putting it on the mizbeach is the last thing. Like also putting the kmitza of a mincha, that's the last final thing that you do. There's a whole bunch of avodas in the kmitza, as we saw. But putting it on the mizbeach, being marker of it, that's the final one. So it must be something that's at the end. Mimela, anything that's in the middle of the avodah. Boilel, yoitzik, boilel, all these things, pouring oil, mixing it. These are all in the middle, in the center. Center doesn't count. For that you don't get cars. Next. Actually, Mishkan. It says in the Mishnah that until the Mishkan was erected after Matan Torah, then the Abama was mutter, and also the Avodah was done with the Bechar. The Avodah was done with the Bechar. Now, we saw this, we're going to see the pasuk in a second. Let me just show you where the pasuk is. Over here, the Gemara understands that the Becharim did it. Vayishlach is na'arei. What's na'arei? Little kids, the younger kids? No. Referring to the Bechar. Vayalu oilos vizuchu Zevachim shalom Hashem parim. A one-time deal. We'll see, one time or until the Mishkan, and the Becharim did it. The Archaim HaKadosh gives some hope to the Becharim, and then I was thinking to myself, he says that Lasad Lavai, and I remember hearing this in the Cheder from Rebbe, and I never saw it, but the Archaim, somebody sent me the Archaim that the Becharim will do the Avodah. Now, I don't know how it works with Gilgulim and this. Maybe everybody's a Bechar. I don't know. Maybe you that are not a Bechar, you are a Bechar. So how does it work exactly? Everybody's doing the Avodah. B'kitzur, Yasser Rav Huna. Yasser Rav Huna bar Rav Katinu Kamei Rav Chizda v'Kakari. He was reading this pasuk. Mamish, this one that we have on the screen. Vayishlach es nari b'nei Yisrael. Omerlei hochamer Ravasi upasku. Ravasi said that after Matan Torah, there's no more Bechar. It went all to the Kohanim. Sobelo Yisuvim Masnisa. So he wanted to ask him a bomb kasha from our Mishnah that says the Bechar went all the way to the Mishkan. But he was about to attack him from our Mishnah, and then he realized he could do 2 for 1. He heard another mistake. L'chayra. It says, that oila that goes on the Mizbeach, you don't have to remove the hide, you don't have to skin it. Put it on with the skin. So he says, why should I ask him a question from our Mishnah? The Bechar went all the way to the Mishkan. No! I'm going to get much more for my money. I'm going to bring him a brisa. And in the brisa, it's unbelievable. It's big kishrin over here, yeah? He has a kasha from the Mishnah, then he realizes he said something else, and I have another source that's going to get him on two things. Two different halachas completely. He got him from a brisa, that's two questions. The Sanya. Question number one is, it says over here, actually, hukam ha-mishkan. It says mefurish mishkan, that the Bechor went all the way to the Mishkan. Habamas v'toris v'avoida v'bechayres. Ad hukam ha-mishkan bechayres. So that's question number one. Question number two is, v'akol ksherim l'karib. Everybody could bring a carbon, even a woman. I'm sorry, no. V'akol ksherim l'karib, every animal, I believe. It means every type of animal. Behema chayav oif. You could bring a giraffe, you could bring a behema, you could bring a oif. Certainly they brought chickens. And this is a big chiddush. Zechar bin a kevais. That's a chiddush. Even in a keva, why? Because in a second you'll see, Tamimim u'balei mumim, this is a chiddush gadol ma'oid, that I could bring a balmum, an animal to cast. So don't bring any lions, don't bring anything that's tummy, only tar. V'akol karbo oilos. Now everything was an oila. So the problem over here is not a problem, but the chiddush is that an oila is only a zachar now. And over there it says even a kevas. Great. And listen to this. So that's question number two. It says mefurish over here that they used to skin the animals in the midbar. And you said that there's no hefshed v'nituach. So I got you on two questions. As the Gemara, and this says the Gemara, Rishonim Lasis Kain, and a guy, even in nowadays, Trump could bring a carbon on a bama, could bring a giraffe, Tanoim. The Sanyo, the Kohanim that go to Har Sinai, they have to be Kaddish. That's referring to the Bechar that they were doing the Avodah till the Mishkan. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu warns them, you don't come close to, you're like Klal Yisrael, like you regular Yisrael, don't come close to the mountain. Rabbi Yomi who preaches another Baviyu. It's referring to the Kohanim, not to the Becharim. They did the Avodah all the way to the Mishkan. This is Machlokes. Did the Becharim go all the way to the Mishkan or not? Bishlam Elaman Omar Zu preaches another Baviyu. Yeah? What's the question? The Becharim did it. But maybe it was all the way only to Har Sinai, to Matan Torah, not to the Mishkan. And it's a question of 9 months. It's a 9 month from Matan Torah till Mishkan. About 9 months. Sivan, I think it was Sivan. Yitzhar. Says the Gemara, Bishlam Elaman Omar Zu preaches another Baviyu. Hainu D'chsiv Hu Asher Dibar Hashem Leiba B'Krevei Kodesh. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu hinted to Moshe Rabbeinu that with my close ones, in other words, close ones are going to die here when you build a Mishkan. Now, what's interesting is that Moshe Rabbeinu thought HaKadosh Baruch was talking about himself, about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu thought, I'm going to build a Mishkan, I'm going to die that day. B'Krei HaKadosh. He didn't tell him exactly what. Now, it makes a lot of sense that B'Krei Vai meaning Nadav and Avihu a Kodesh. Elamad Omazu preaches B'Chayros, but if B'Chayrim were doing the Avodah, not Nadav Avihu. So what does it mean b'kroivai? Heicher means where did HaKadosh Baruch Hu hint to Moshe Rabbeinu that Nadav and Avihu are going to die that day? L'chsiv v'nayat Shama l'vnei Yisrael v'nigdash b'chvoidi. V'nayat Shama l'vnei Yisrael v'nigdash b'chvoidi. It's going to become kadosh in my honor. Al tikri b'chvoidi ele b'mechubadai. So the hint was that two of mechubadai, the ones that I honor, they're going to die. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe v'lo yadoya ad shemesu b'nei Aaron. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't chap what he's talking about until Nadav and Avihu died. Kivin shemesu b'nei Aaron omaloi. Aaron ochiloi mesu b'necho lahagdish Moshe HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me b'mechubadai that the ones that I honor, these are holy people. Kivin sheyoda Aaron shabonav yiduyei mokem hein shasak. As soon as Aaron realized that his sons are known to the Rebbeinu Shalom, in other words, they're special to him, he was quiet. The Kibbutz Sachar, he got a lot of reward for being quiet. Shenemar vayidam Aaron. Doim Lashem v'schol. That what? Doim Lashem. He's quiet. He didn't say a thing to Hashem. Oh, v'schol. What does it mean? Ava b'shemapel chalalim chalalim. Even though he kills from even your own mishpacha, he get some of them die. Atish soik. And you're quiet. V'chem shleimo oimer eslach shoyz lach shoyz ve'es ledaber. There's a time to be quiet. There's a time to speak up. What does that mean? Sometimes you are quiet. And you get a lot of reward for not questioning Hashem's. Sometimes you must go out there and scream, Rabbi Isai, look how beautiful this is. Hashem did a great thing for me. I have a baby, a this, you make a kiddush. You know that you get schar for the reverse also. Hashem is awesome. The what? Baruch does it. The Gdoshim, they go misyaro, misalo, misalo. So the whole world is fearful and everybody is elated. It become, I don't know if elated is the right word. They become me'ula. They go up in the darga. The bottom line is elakashi oila. The bottom line: do you remove the hide from the oila? Did they remove the hide of the oila in the midbar or not? So the Gemara treat tanoi. It's in fact the machlokes tanoi and the Sanya b'shmol oimer klal isnam b'sinai or pralis b'omer. That what Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave a general overview of the Torah in Har Sinai, and he gave the details later on, 9 months later in the Oyel Moed. It seems like a contradiction to the Psukim. What's going on? Moshe Rabbeinu is repeating what happened over there. Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave a very general Torah, not all the details. So one of the details that was missing by Har Sinai is the hefshet, that you have to skin it. That he didn't say. He said you put a carbon. Exactly how you do it, that came later on. So there's no hefshet until that point. No, Chas v'shalom, everything was given at Har Sinai, all the details, everything. So removing the hide was something they did all the way back then. So Mamela, it's not a question. That goes according to Rabbi Kiva that they took off the hide. It goes according to Shmuel. They didn't take off the Shtash of Arvis Moev, and it was the third time in Arvis Moev. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day. I'll see you Beis Hashem from the other side.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.